Welcome to the second module of Historical Research. This module is titled How to Search Research in the Archive. In this module, you will learn three key methods in historical research. First, how to search the archive. Second, how to reference archival materials accurately in academic work. And third, how to engage with archival sources critically and spatially, understanding their context, limitations, and representational logic. And here is a step-by-step guide of conducting archival research. First, define your topic. Start by clarifying what you want to investigate. Second step is search and explore the archive. Once you have your focus, it's time to explore archival collections. And step 3 is apply the materials to your research. Finding a source is only the beginning. It is important to engage critically with what you find. Ask some of these questions like, who produced this material? For what purpose? What is emphasized or left out? So let's begin with defining your topic. Here I have an example questions. If you're studying the infrastructure development between Guangzhou and Zhuhai in the early reform and opening era, you might find some of these keywords quite helpful in your research. This includes Pearl River Delta, transportation corridor, bridge and road construction, regional integration, or intercity mobility. Your time period might also be useful, which is from the late 1970s to mid 1990s, which is when reform and opening happened, the beginning of reform and opening. When key infrastructure projects were being planned and implemented to link previously disconnected areas, this is the time that laid the ground for further development within the Pearl River Delta era. In addition to defining your key topic with keywords, these are some of the other things you can consider, which is to think in scales. Here I have 3 scales I have listed: local, regional, and cross-border. So local means things like villages or towns. For example, the land use changes in rural township in Zhongshan. Regional, such as city clusters, like the industrial integration between Dongguan, Shenzhen, and Guangzhou, or cross-border collaboration covering, for example, the 2018 policy of the strategy of Greater Bay Area, such as policy coordination and transport links between Macau, Zhuhai, and Hong Kong. These different scales can help shape not only what you search for, but also how you interpret archival materials within the border dynamics of the Pearl River Delta. Each of these scales can also point towards different type of archival materials. At the local scale, you might want to look for gazetteers, oral history, or county level planning documents. At a regional scale, you might want to look for infrastructure maps, transport design reports, or regional planning archives. And on a cross-border or national scales, you might look into state level policy documents, strategies, and also colonial records, which point towards different areas of colonial settlements of different era and the shaping of different borders. Also, you may also look into international trade statistics. So here there might be the question of which one might come first. Would the research topic come first or the archive? Usually this is a back and forth process. Sometimes you may start with research interest with your research interest and then refine it based on what kinds of materials actually exist. And at other times, you might discover compelling archival sources, say a series of maps showing different shifting river channels, and the source itself can lead you to develop a new question. So next, I will demonstrate some of the screenshots I have taken to help you navigate through archives. First, we will look at the CUHK University website. So when you log into university website, you will click collection and then to archives. This will guide you to the archival search page. And how to search the archives. You can begin with a general search to see what's available, or you can also use the advanced search function to refine your results. Advanced search tool usually allow you to filter by collection, digital material only or physical material only, the creator or author of the document, notes or descriptions that include your keyword, or subject terms, identifiers like call numbers or catalog codes. If you don't find anything at first, try synonyms or Chinese terms, especially for archival search based in the Pearl River Delta. One of the great places that I've found in this area to start your search is the website of Global Mapping of Macau, which we have also listed on our website database page. So this is an archive platform developed by Macau University of Science and Technology, which focuses on historical and spatial materials of Macau and the surrounding Pearl River Delta region. What makes this archive especially useful is that it doesn't just show isolated documents or maps. It also provides historical views of historical overviews of some of the sources you may find. So when you here is some of the search items I have found when I put in Pearl River Delta just in the general search box. On each of the sources on the left-hand side, you may find a long column of information such as historical backgrounds, and also they also can trace where the source come from, and perhaps sometimes where the physical archive is based. And then they can, if the source comes from another website, you can click on the URL that will guide you towards the original website where it came from. For example, here is a set of images I have found titled Landscape from Canton to Macau. The platform actually shows where this set of image comes from, which is the Academia Sinica. So This is a type of cross-referencing that makes it easy to discover related archives, to explore neighboring materials, expanding your research networks across institutions. So when I click on this, it guides me to this website called Reading Digital Atlas, which I was able to find the whole set of this images of landscape from Canton to Macau. And on this website, they also store a number of very useful historical maps based in China. So now you have learned some of the basics of navigating around websites. Once you have collected some of these images that you're interested to look more into, we may look into how to engage with historical resources critically. So I have listed three key points of views and methods to look into examining archives. So these are neighboring, layering, and triangulation. So first I will explain neighboring, which literally means the neighbors of the materials source you have found. Neighboring is a method of reading archival materials in context by paying attention not only to primary documents you're studying, but also the material surrounds it, whether spatially, thematically, or temporally. So it is really about asking what else was recorded alongside this. What what was happening nearby in the same collection and the same map or the same period. This is helpful in looking in digital archives, but also it may become more relevant when you explore physical archives. So once you've selected some of the materials you're interested in, you may book in an appointment in a physical archive, for example, at the university library or some of the Hong Kong-based archives. And then once you're in the archive, you may be able to look into neighboring materials that are adjacent to where physically the source you have found is situated. This can help you discover better context of the source you have found. So why is this useful? In a way, archives are not usually neutral. They're not neutral. They're curated, structured, and often fragmented. By exploring neighboring materials, you can discover patterns and relationship not obvious in a single item. And also it helps you reconstruct a fuller historical picture from fragmented reports. So it's always helpful to ask questions about the materials nearby and perhaps sometimes the whole collection, examining the whole collection that the material is situated in. So the second way is layering. This is quite helpful in maps as urban research and design students. So layering means overlaying. It can mean overlaying historical and modern maps. For example, here we have a map of Guangdong made in 1866. It's a hand-drawn map made in Qing Dynasty, representing a schematic perception of Guangdong province. There are key trade routes, key cities, islands, and administrative centers within the Pearl River Delta. This is not an accurate map that are made with modern cartography skills. It conveys more of a mental and relational geography of how places are imagined and administratively ordered. The distances are not to scales and the coastlines are generalized, and the natural features like rivers and mountains are depicted for narrative or symbolic emphasis rather than precision. So by doing this, you may think about so by doing this, when you layer this map with modern maps that are accurately mapped, such as satellite images, GIS data, or official planning document, it's not when you layer them, it's not only about spotting the differences, but also um, about reading across time of it opens up sort of a critical, in a way, it can open up a critical dialogue between how people once conceive the space symbolically, relationally through routes and nodes of connecting points and water passages. So this contrast can reveal how geography itself is a socially constructed idea shaped by worldviews, power structure, and also technical capabilities. This type of historical and modern layerings doesn't just show change over time. It also helps reconsider how space and territories were historically constructed and governed, especially in places like the Pearl River Delta, which the development of the Pearl River Delta itself relies on historical trading routes, informal settlements, and administrative priorities that have deeply shaped the landscape that we see today. And lastly is triangulation, cross-referencing different sources. So it's the same map that we are looking at. In this map, with this map, you can also search for oral. You can use oral histories, policy documents, and modern and satellite images to help you construct a better image. And more critical engagement with the source. In this way, by comparing different type of materials which are produced by different um, by different people, for example, oral history may be produced by locals and planning document produced by government. You can also use this to compare and analyze to see the relationship between urban-rural interactions within the area. So lastly, how to reference these archival sources. It's very important to reference archival sources properly. So here I have listed how to reference archival sources in APA style. It's important to note that always include the institution name of where the source is come from. And also in these square brackets, after the title of item, you may also include that it's also good to include the type of material that you're using, for example, photograph, maps, or government document. And that is all.